Welcome to the REALL Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by
the Resilience DoctHers,
Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the REALL Resilient framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. REALL stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. When the work is manageable, teachers and leaders don't stress out or burn out.
The Resilience DoctHers.
Alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. The implementation of the alignment framework prevents some of the most common problems in education, where leaders sometimes aren't sure where to start, or in our new age of educating, leaders need a trusted sounding board that allows them to be vulnerable and transparent, preventing loneliness at the top. The framework doesn't just help leaders, but also prevents teachers from burning out from too many initiatives and embracing teachers as they are the experts. Finally, the framework extends to the children, helping them get engaged in school and solving a nationwide problem. Alignment systems are frequently referred to as a key element of success in the improvement process. In the sport of rowing, all rowers must put their oars in the water, succinctly creating a system for their boat to reach maximum speed. So schools that want to improve are bringing in
the Resilience DoctHers
to teach them all about the alignment systems that must be in place for school improvement to be accomplished at high levels. The dynamic duo provides insights into educational topics through their international platform, which includes educators, parents, and community members as a way to support important entities that make communities thrive. This is their way to pay it forward and provide the support they needed through their platform. Take a look. People who work with
the Resilience
describe them as an
DoctHers.
excellent and inspiring group of leaders. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website.
It's Super Saturday, everyone. Welcome to episode 229 of the REALL Academy, brought to you by Create and Educate with your very own Resilience DoctHers. I'm Dr. Sheikah Houston.
And I am Dr. Tammy Taylor. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever is appropriate for wherever you are tuning in from. We are so super glad that you're here.
Absolutely. And welcome to season 5 of the REALL Academy. And if this is your first time tuning in, you may be wondering, well, who are the Resilience DoctHers?
And we are very glad that you asked. We are best-selling authors, children's book authors, award-winning educators, and speakers who transformed our schools through the report card movement, moving students 2 and 3 levels in just a single year.
All with our phenomenal staff members. But as senior staff developers for Create and Educate, we know that school transformation is needed in many areas. So if you need real solutions that we discuss each week, a systematic framework that teachers and students commit to, then we are your Resilience DoctHers that you need. So we are booking authors visits for 2026. We are taking bulk orders for Amir's Awakening. And to those of you who have placed bulk orders, and we've been getting vendor forms left and right, we say thank you. All of the support around Amir's Awakening, we have just truly been overjoyed and ecstatic.
So blessed.
Yes. And your children are going to love their trips on the resilience train.
Definitely. We love the resilience train. And if you aren't able to actually bring us in just yet, just keep tuning in to the Real Academy. We've impacted over 300,000 educators and 7 million children all through our free Fantastic 4 PD every Saturday, Super Saturday, as has been deemed by our fearless leader, Principal Kafele. At 10 a.m., we start with our big brother in this work, Principal Sean Hurt. And then at 10:30, Sheikah and I follow in the Real Academy. That's Create and Educate. And at 11 a.m., the Leaders Mentor and the GOAT comes on in the AP and New Principals Academy with Principal Kafele. And then on Sundays, we round out with the PGP podcast with Dr. Marty Moreno and Principal Josh Tovar. So please be sure to tune in and join us.
Yes, so please like, share, subscribe, send the stars, do all of the things that the platforms do. We need help with these algorithms, and we say please and thank you in advance. And I got your note last week, Josh. We need to say that at least one more time within the show. So I'm going to remember. I'm putting a footnote right here. So we are looking forward to our Real Dreams Vision Board workshop tomorrow that's sponsored by the Beacon Foundation. It is a sold out event. We're going to be at the Chester County Library. It's for women and girls. And we are just truly excited. We know that everybody's going to enjoy it. And we thank the Beacon Foundation for their partnership. We are also excited about the Rotary Club having us later on in the month to help everyone find their secret sauce. That's that special blend that makes you, you, and you better at helping you to understand and work productively with your colleagues, because you have a better awareness of self, but also a better awareness of what that looks like with your team. So we are super excited about that. And be sure to check out our radio show in partnership with WGCD radio station with Parents Are First Teachers. If you don't catch it live on the actual link that we post on WGCD, we have started a podcast link for that, so you can catch all of the episodes for the year. So it airs live on WGCD radio station. That's 104.5 FM, Wednesdays and Saturdays. It's very short, 15 minutes, and you will enjoy it and get something out of it.
Yes, you will definitely enjoy it. And as we shared with you all last week, for the next 13 weeks, we're going to be unpacking the foundations of resilient schools, not theoretically, but systems that we know work.
Absolutely. And I didn't forget the Real Fam shout outs. We appreciate each and every one of you every week. We know that you are intentional about being here. We had to pre-record because, as I announced, we are right now at the library.
Yes, we are.
So we are conducting that vision board workshop, but we appreciate you being here. And that brings us to episode 229 of the Real Academy, which is Respect as a Tier 1 Strategy. So today we're talking about culture, relationships, preventative discipline, and why respect is the foundation of every effective MTSS framework. And as you've heard us talk about before, that's the reason why it's the door to our framework, because you cannot walk through the door without respect.
Absolutely. And usually when schools hear respect, they often go straight to rules, manners, or compliance. But respect is not a rule. Now, the rule can be respect, and respect can be the rule, but respect can't be boxed into being a rule or the rules. You have to realize that respect is a system.
Absolutely. And a tier one system of respect answers three questions for every student and also every adult. Do I feel seen? Do I feel safe? And do I feel like I belong? And if the answer is no, then behavior becomes communication. And I think I've said it before. Seen, loved, and heard is if you wanted to summarize it, that's what every child and adult needs and wants.
Yes.
So
That's
absolutely.
for sure, Shika. Everybody wants to be seen, everybody wants to be heard, and everybody wants to feel like they are loved and appreciated.
Absolutely. So, in Create and Educate's real MTSS model, respect lives at tier one. And again, that's why it's that door. It's universal support for all students. So, what does that look like? Respect also impacts the climate and culture. We know it impacts the classrooms, PBIS, and social and emotional learning.
Yes, and when respect is strong at tier one, you have fewer students who need tier two. But when respect is weak at tier one, everything, everything, everything becomes tier three.
Absolutely. And we have seen so many districts with that upside down triangle. That means you have more tier three than you do tier one. And if you put more work into that prevention where you're teaching, then you won't have to do a whole lot with your interventions. But a lot of times, when I look at discipline matrices, that's missing the prevention, the teaching, that's missing at a tier one level. So, Create and Educate's five super strengths, as you all know, are respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership. And together, they form three core systems. So, we know that first system is systems of respect. That's where we have our culture, our relationships, our belonging that I talked about a few minutes ago. We have systems of excellence that's going to impact our instruction, our engagement, and whether or not we have high expectations. And if you have them, you will get this excellence. And then systems of accountability, that's clear expectations and fair responses. That means everything for discipline does not mean it's punitive, but we're actually teaching too.
Yes, and that's a very important aspect of discipline and setting expectations that people don't respond well to, because just like we have to teach children how to spell, we have to teach children how to read, we have to teach children how to behave. And there is no way to do that if you don't have systems in place that allow for that. And as you were saying, Shika, in the system of accountability, you can only enforce that system or reinforce the pillars of the system if there's a way to hold students accountable. Because when students don't feel respected, you really can't hold them accountable, because guess what? They're reacting to what they think is disrespect towards them.
Mhm.
Now, what we have to also understand is when there's accountability without respect, is heavy on punishment. And
Mhm.
when we talked about before, we did a presentation some years back on talking about the consequences and how you can put consequences in place that teach rather
Mhm.
than punish. And when we do that, students respond so much better.
Absolutely, Tammy. And in thinking of how you really need to unpack this, and thinking about in some places the number of international teachers that some districts have. You also have to define as a staff, what do we mean by respect and what do we mean by disrespect, because it is very, very different. I've learned from a lot of my international teachers, a lot different here than it is in some of their countries.
For
I'll
sure.
never forget one teacher when I walked into the room and she told all of the children, rise, because in her country, the principal is the most respected person in the building. And anytime they walk in the room, you just stand up. So I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? What is going on? I had never seen that before. But she had the children, that those were her customs and her practices, but she had taught them respect and they were learning something, the cultural exchange, the differences in our cultures. So I thought it was a good thing.
So powerful as an example too, because and I'm glad you brought that up, because respect actually prevents discipline problems before they start. And if you want to really take a look at what preventative respect actually looks like, there are clear expectations that have been explicitly taught. Rise. They've been taught to stand where you are and give honor to Principal Houston, who has entered the room. But you also have to have adults who are able to model the tone that you need to speak in, to model the language that needs to be used, to even model body posture. Because, sometimes when we present ourselves and kids feel threatened, that again creates unnecessary combativeness because they don't feel like you are being respectful. And then teaching children how to repair harm. You got to be able to have a buyback. You can't just excommunicate kids when they cross your lines. But also making sure, and I think this is one of the most important aspects of any classroom at any level, is having consistent routines that are clear across classrooms. Because I've noticed, and we talk about this a lot, especially in grade levels where teachers are teaming, you have to have some consistency with these expectations, or there will be chaos within the team, because children will push the limits and boundaries that are set if you're not going to hold them to it. And when you teach them preventively what respect is supposed to look like, and it's supposed to be that way everywhere, then they can rise to the occasion.
Absolutely. And another thing about respect, you also, as a leader, you cannot be someone who cowers from crucial conversations, because, as my children would say, sometimes children are rage baited. I had never heard that term until my girls told me that they're in middle school. Rage baiting is when somebody gets that out of them, the rage.
I promise you, Abby has schooled me on the baiting her. Don't. Why do you have to rage bait? Like, okay.
Right. And so, in their minds, this is a real thing, but it's not in their minds. It actually does happen.
Yeah, you're right.
When it does,
100.
Have to have that conversation. So respect is why some schools don't struggle with the same behaviors, even with the same school or the same students. So it's not the kids, it's the systems, like you talked about, Tammy, that are in place. So in resilient schools, respect applies to all groups, not just the problem students. It's something for everyone. So it shows up in academic instruction, making sure that you're respecting school, respecting yourself, that you need an education. It shows up in attendance conversations. If you have respect for your goals and for the values that your family has instilled in you for you to receive an education, then you're going to be here. It shows up in your behavior responses, and it shows up in your social and emotional learning supports.
Yes, ma'am. And when schools regularly review all groups, then they can identify where the respect is being broken down. And we can create systems of intervention for real interventions before things escalate and get out of control. This is how growth can happen at all levels.
Absolutely. So, making sure that we're all clear and that we're all on the same page. Let me put this up here. So, respect is not soft, it's not optional. Respect is strategic.
It is, Shika. And when respect is built intentionally at tier one, culture strengthens, relationships deepen, and discipline becomes preventive, not reactionary.
Absolutely. So that strategy has to be that you've discussed what it is, what it looks like across all gamuts, not just with your staff, but also with your students. And we talked about this this week in the AP meeting. You have to have those systems in place: the who, what, when, how. If I'm going to have a system in place to address respect with everyone, I have to decide when that's going to happen, who's going to do it. And one of the things that I reiterated with them is that, with children, sometimes I send my daughter into a room to go get something, and as soon as she walk off, what did you want, mama? They forget that fast. So when you have a system in place that only has you going over things the first part of the year, at the winter break, and then after spring break, and you don't have any checkpoints in between all of those dates, those children may not remember what you said a few minutes ago. So make
No,
sure
and Shika, the thing that's important about what you're saying about that, constantly communicating the expectations is you can't even let the weekend pass without reminding children of the expectations when they get back Monday.
exactly. And at my school, that's where those town hall meetings came into play. And also us doubling down and looking at the data, because I had everybody send me those things that we were really harping on for each grade level. And on my grade level meetings, they heard out of my mouth, they knew it was important to me. How are we looking in sixth grade with academics, with attendance, with behavior, with tardies? We went over all of the things for every group so every group would know. And I would have my reminders.
And don't you think too that's another aspect of just making sure that that keeps at the forefront of everybody's minds what the main things really are? Because as long as you keep the main thing, then it helps that everybody knows we're all on the same page. And when you're communicating those expectations as the building leader, then the staff knows exactly what's expected. And then that trickles down to the classroom so that you have a culture that is one that is conducive to learning. Because when those systems are not in place, learning can be all over the place. And that's how we get those um, triangles, as you said, that are introverted. We
Mm-hmm.
are trying to move away from having those upside down triangles. So y'all catch us on the replay. Share this with your leadership teams, and then join us back here next Super Saturday at 10 a.m. with Principal Sean Hurt, 10:30 in the Real Academy with yours truly, Create and Educate. 11 o'clock with Principal Kafele in the AP and New Principals Academy. And then on Sunday with the PGP podcast with Dr. Moreno and Principal Josh Tovar. We are your resilience doctors, y'all, and we are helping you to create and educate so that we can all thrive.
Absolutely. And be sure to join us next week. We're going to have a deeper dive into these foundations and look at excellence as a system. So we hope that you all have a real amazing Super Saturday. Thank you all for tuning in.